Good morning, everyone. This is Gary Kay, and I'm coming to you with a special edition of my Rants and Raves podcast today. You'll recognize the two guys on with me right now, Scott Gill and Steve Durkee from Legrand. Scott has served as the president of Legrand rAVe for many years now since the transition, and going back a long ways. We'll talk about that in just a second. And Steve Durkee has been the president of the commercial division. Guys, how are you?
Doing well, thanks.
We're all at home. We're used to being at home now. This is a different world for us. But you have a big announcement. This is big news, Scott. Tell us what you're getting ready to do.
Yeah. So thanks, Gary. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and your audience. Look, early in the year, I started the process of, communicating within Legrand about that the timing was really right for me to move on from the organization after 15 years of leading first the Milestone business and now Legrand rAVe for coming up on the last 3 years. So that the time is now. We've decided to make that transition here at the beginning of May, and very, very fortunate for the business and the industry. I think for Steve Durkee to take on the leadership role of Legrand rAVe going forward. I
mean, it'll be a perfectly smooth transition. Steve, everyone knows you and knows what you've done in the industry. And you actually are the kind of guy that has no enemies. Not that you have any enemies, Scott, but Steve, you're such a nice guy that I think your competitors even like you. That's kind of your reputation. So I think this is going to be great for the company. But what do you think? I mean, you ready for this? This is a big challenge, especially with what's going on in the world.
Yeah, it's an interesting time for sure in the marketplace that we're all having to deal with, but I'm excited about it. And we've talked a lot about once you get into the AV business, you're in it for life, right? And it's because you're passionate about it. And I think the relationships you referenced that we all have are because the industry is just full of good people. I mean, it's an easy group of people to work with. The partnerships are great. And I continue to be very optimistic despite current challenges, which we're all dealing with about the AV business and our business in particular. So I'm looking forward to it. And as Scott alluded to or mentioned, we've worked together for 16 years, so we're very well in sync on our leadership and our vision. So it feels pretty natural in the transition.
Yeah, and I feel pretty confident you probably have his mobile number by now. But so Scott, let me ask you this: so over the years that you were, Milestone obviously was a big name in our industry for many years, and I think that the transition to Legrand and what they've done has been pretty awesome because it's brought together even more power, and you sort of cover all the glue parts of the industry. What of those 16 years that you've been most proud of? Like, if you had to pull down one accomplishment, what was the thing you're most proud of?
Well, I think it's been honoring the heritage of all of those amazing individual brands, but bringing together a common experience. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's been aspirational, right? We've had hiccups over the years, whether that's been, new enterprise systems or whatever. But at the same time, I think we've really been able to bring together the best of those brands and those experiences. But still staying true to, like many parts of the AV industry, what makes up Legrand rAVe today has a lot of roots in, very entrepreneurial brands and businesses. And I think, making sure you weave some of those threads through the business is super important, and making sure you're continuing to deliver on the value that people expect from those brands.
Well, of all those brands, which one do you touch the most in your house? Like, which one do you have that that you interface the most with? Like, which one is that one that is your go-to in your house? How about that?
That's an interesting question.
I'm sure you have quite a bit there.
Yes, I do. None of my background here right at the moment, but Steve and I joined what was the Chief business 16 years ago. And actually that same year, 2004, is when we brought Chief and Sanus together. So those, we'll call them the original two brands that really formed the nucleus of Milestone, have a pretty near and dear spot in my heart. And that doesn't take anything away from the amazing brands that we were able to add over the years and then bring together with under the Legrand rAVe banner, because the funny thing was when we were Milestone and Legrand was out in the industry, we were actually looking at a lot of the same companies, a lot of the same businesses as there was M&A transactions.
Yeah, I bet.
A great opportunity to bring all those brands together under one umbrella.
Well, I certainly have a whole lot of chief products in my house because they're holding up everything. So, and so far so good.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Well, that's great. Now, Steve, I know that you're well prepared for this because of your experience in the industry and your leadership that you've had in the past. You'll step right into this without any issues. But at the same time, you're entering in not the best circumstances. I mean, the industry, the world has changed, and the industry has certainly been affected by this. I know that we have some stats that are somewhere in the range of 10 to 15% of the industry has been either laid off or furloughed in the last, couple of months. What do you see as your biggest challenge besides the obvious?
Yeah, I think the challenges short term are they're the obvious, right? That we have to deal with, each of us individually as businesses, try to manage our way through that. I think as I like to describe, the challenges and opportunities are the same. The opportunities for us is to build on what Scott described. We were just beginning this journey of all these, and you and I have talked about this, and you've said this, these sort of world-class brands within their respective spaces to create solutions both from a service and application perspective. And so it's delivering on that. I mean, that's an opportunity and a challenge because they were different businesses and now we're integrating them together. And Scott said it doesn't come without challenges relative to systems and other things, but we're making great progress. So it's really just continuing to sort of live that vision. And I think the AV industry in general will go through a bit of a transition on which market segments thrive the most under the new normal. And clearly conferencing and collaboration do, clearly, that into remote learning, working from home. Digital signage, I think, is going to take on a new perspective relative to safety and protocols and information and signage and so forth. But live events, what are live events going to look like over the next 6 months? So I think, we're going to have to recast a bit where we focus in the next 12 to 24 months relative to how the industry comes back and which applications are sort of growing the fastest and recovering the fastest.
And I'm guessing you've probably already started that work because you obviously have some data coming in from what people are using right now of yours. And also you spent both of y'all spent the last couple of years with your teams transitioning the whole Legrand organization into and I don't know if the ERP is the right word, but a system that would control the whole organization that they didn't have before. You had some experience having done that at Milestone, so it seems like a natural to have you sort of ascend to that role. But the part of it that we don't really have clear knowledge of is where we'll be 2 months from now. Like 2 years from now, I think is easier to see even more than 2 months from now, right? I think we almost kind of want to sit around and say, wow, I wish it was 2 years from now. I don't know, Scott, what are your feelings about that? Because you're going to go off and do something different, I'm quite sure.
Yes, I think that's an astute observation that for the first time in a very long time, it's easier to see the midterm than it is the short term.
Yeah.
But you've got to navigate both. Fortunately for Legrand, as being part of a global, very healthy, robust organization, we have that ability. Obviously, we've got to address some of the financial realities, but at the same time, we've got the backing of a $7 billion public company. I think it is almost a unique opportunity to take this time and really be thoughtful about that 2-year look, that 3-year look, as long as you can keep our collective houses in order in the short term. I think the sliver of good news is that overall economic activity, while down a reasonable amount, hasn't fallen off a cliff in the U.S. Most areas are continuing to allow commercial construction activity to proceed. Obviously, conferencing, distance learning. Our Vadio business is really robust right now. That team is doing a great job at fulfilling the needs, particularly for higher ed deployments here over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So, I think the word unprecedented gets used way, way too much, but I think all of us will look back on this and say, wow, how did we? It'll be amazing what people will have done to navigate this this period of time here in 2020.
You know, it's funny. It's interesting hearing you keep saying we. At some point in time, you're going to have to say they, but it's still we. It's going to be hard for you to leave.
I have not made that mental transition yet. You know, this business has been central to me for the last 16 years. Steve and I have again, nearly co-led it for the bulk of that time. And so yeah, it's not an easy decision, but businesses and life have phases, and I think this is one where I can confidently move on, knowing the business is in great hands.
Well, I agree with you, Scott. Congratulations on all your success and everything you've done for the industry. I think a lot of people are in awe, because if you think about it, and I've written about this because I know that we've commented on it. You guys have commented on it at trade shows. There hasn't really been a very good success story of an acquisition other than what y'all have done. Let's admit it. Let's be right open about it. You're the exception to every other acquisition that's happened in our industry, just about completely. I mean, and so that speaks volumes of you, Scott. I'm sure whatever you go on to do is going to be very, very successful. And I look forward to hearing from you. I'm guessing, I don't know very many people have ever left the industry successfully. So I don't know that you can leave our industry. So I'm guessing you're going to do something in our industry at some point in time, but hopefully I can't say, I hope you go travel a little while and relax, because you can't go travel anywhere, but you can
That's
relax at least. And Steve, I'm looking forward to working with you even more. I'm very excited because it's great to see a company like yours look at the value of commercial being big enough that they're putting the person from the commercial side in charge of the entire organization, and keeping the commercial side, the leadership, because I think that really we are the innovators, even though the consumer side of the market gets a lot of the press, right? So I think that this is a good thing for the organization, and obviously with your knowledge and your team behind you. I mean, I've worked with a lot of them many of the years. Laurie, for example, is one, and I mean, just everyone we've worked with over the years has been great, and a lot of them came with you from Milestone. So congratulations as well to you.
Yeah, I do want to just comment that I think an important part of our business is our consumer business. I think that's going to continue to be a vital part of the organization going forward. Now, different dynamics, right, to deal with right now with retail, with what a lot of the CI guys are going through. But a lot of our heritage is there, and particularly when we brought the brands of Legrand together, we've got a lot of great relationships and heritage. So it will look different. But I do think that's going to be a robust part of the Legrand portfolio going forward.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing. On just the good news for me is during this 16-year journey, I've spent a significant amount of time on our retail business and our residential business. So I'm excited to get back involved more with that as well. It's been, Scott noted, we've woven together the brands over the years, and so none of them are separable from our success and our business and our capabilities. So I'm excited to get back involved in that area as well. But
yeah, and there's a lot of opportunity in I mean, think about it. There's a bunch of money being spent and going to be spent at home because people can't go out, and they're realizing, well, this could happen again. So why don't we upgrade our home, especially I think the home theater market has a chance for resurgence. I hope that Cedia sees this the right way, as opposed to, because what has happened with Cedia is it's been a lot of too consumerish consumer products, app-based products and things like that, rather than sort of the higher end residential,
professional grade products for sure.
So I think that's what you were speaking to, Scott. I mean, with Legrand, that's where y'all really shine, is at that level. But I'm bullish about both segments of the industry as well, and it's good to hear your observations about that, Scott. Well, congratulations, guys. I look forward to hearing what you do, Scott, in the future. And Steve, I look forward to continuing to work with you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Gary. Appreciate getting a few minutes with you today. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And everyone, thanks for joining me on this special edition of Rants and Raves. You can see all of our podcasts, listen to all our podcasts, watch all our videos at ravepubs.com.